Welcome back to the Retire Young podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the Retire Young podcast on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. If you're just tuning in, Al was talking about this phenomenal opportunity that we're seeing in these financial markets, how you have to be prepared, but also how you want to properly buy low and sell high, not do the opposite, because we all know how you buy and sell everything in life is exactly how you do it in the financial markets. Unfortunately, the average public, or the average, we'll call it civilian, is trained and conditioned to do it the wrong way. And that's what we try to help people with, is that financial literacy to really understand what's going on. And Al, as you ended that last segment, you wanted to talk about how to overcome, or just different lessons that you learn during turmoil times like we're having right now. I mean, turmoil times can be now, or it can be a great opportunity. Explain some of those lessons that you can learn to overcome any of this turmoil that's happening.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I mentioned kind of near the end of that last segment was what Wall Street is telling you to do. Obviously, don't panic is one of those. But the other is, to have extra cash on hand, to have an emergency fund. The problem is that for a lot of people, that requires extra cash that they don't have. It's easy to say this is going to be a great buying opportunity coming up, but if the money isn't there to do it, then you miss that opportunity. So one of the lessons learned is how you need to know how to generate additional cash. Maybe if the income from your job isn't enough to pay all of the bills, have some money left over for an emergency fund, money left over to fund your retirement, you need to generate additional cash.
You mentioned something, additional cash, because think about this. Think about the ideal job. We have a lot of turmoil, as you said, going on in the world right now. What would the ideal job be? What's one of the things you can do with trading and investing? You can do it from home. All you need is a internet connection, but you just need to learn the skills of that.
Sure, and you don't have to even do it from home. You can do it when you're on vacation. If you want to go sit by a beach or on a dock by a lake, you can do that.
And a lot of people might be on vacation involuntarily coming up.
Well, and that's true. That's another one of those lessons that you never know. You can't rely on the security of a job when we go through things like a down market or maybe a recession.
And that's why it's so important to get that education now, not later.
Yeah, and some of the lessons that we learn from situations like this, number one is the markets are multi-directional. They don't just go up, but that's how most people are positioned, and that's how most of your retirement accounts are positioned. But the market does go down. We're seeing that, and we're seeing it in a big way, and sometimes it goes sideways. And the bottom line is you can be successful in all three directions if you have the right education. And then also you understand now that stock positions can be hit very hard. Usually you've got a large amount of money tied up in a stock position, and it's directional. It's only going to make money when the market goes up. What if you could have protected it? I know a lot of people were concerned of missing out on more upside in this market.
That FOMO.
Yeah, and they were kind of torn between that and also being concerned that maybe the market was a little overvalued.
That goes back to that buying high and hoping to sell higher.
Well, correct.
That's what most people have done.
Correct. And oftentimes that will work. When something goes to a new high, that doesn't mean it's always going to go back down again. But what about maybe taking profits sooner? And that's another lesson learned. That's a way to protect what you have. When the market hits a new high, maybe you take some profits. Once you take a profit, that can't be taken away from you. But you can still participate in an up market and protect your portfolio. Hedging and protecting, there's maybe it costs you a little bit of money to do that, but it's not any different than having an insurance policy on your house or your car or health insurance. You don't necessarily know you're going to use those things, but you have it there. You can do the same thing with your portfolios.
Well, Al, just, you mentioned people want to generate extra cash. I mean, explain the other asset classes that you can take advantage of.
Right. And we always talk about this, the difference between how you're going to do things for income and how you do it for wealth. How you trade or invest for income and wealth are different. Short-term income means you need money on a short-term basis. Right now, maybe you need some additional money to help you get through what's going on with the markets. Maybe you need a little extra money to be able to take advantage of the next big move up that we'll be seeing. Maybe you need extra money just to pay your bills and to have money left over to have some fun.
Well, also, how about to fund that retirement bucket as well?
Where does the money come from into your retirement accounts? Where does the money
cash flow?
It comes from your cash flow. That means that wherever your income is coming from, it has to be great enough to not only take care of the financial obligations you have just to stay alive, but it also has to fund that retirement account. So it shows the importance of being able to generate cash. And what you're talking about, Josh, or what you're asking me is how do you do that on a short-term basis? There are assets that you can use. You can use the futures market, very short-term trading vehicle where you're looking at something and what the value of it is going to be in the future. It could be the major stock markets. It could be commodities like sugar, soybeans, corn,
gold,
hog
oils, silver.
Right, precious metals, oil, currencies, interest rates.
And people know that too. So it's not like it's something crazy that people trade and that you have to be a genius. People know what gold is. They know what oil is. It's an opportunity.
Right, and you can use those in an up market or a down market. You can make money both directions with those future contracts. You can use the foreign exchange market, the Forex market. Where you're looking at the difference in exchange rates between two different currencies. That market has been active. And the great thing about those two assets trade basically 24 hours a day, so you don't have to just be available during the 6.5 hours that the stock market's open. And the great thing about them is they have leverage. We'll throw options in there too. Those are leveraged assets where you can put small amounts of money into an investment or a trade, but control a much larger amount of it, maybe 10 to 1, 20 to 1, 50 to 1.
And all it is opportunities because, everybody knows the stock market. That's what they talk about on TV. Well, how about trading like an institution or like a bank? They're trading fixed assets, Forex, futures.
Sure.
They're doing options as well. And you can utilize that smaller amount of capital and really do that any time of day because, most of our listeners, Al, probably work during the day and you can do this in the evening because the futures market and the Forex market, those are both open around the clock. So you have more opportunity. Now, let's stay on this topic, Al, of cash flow. But let's talk about that during retirement because think of this. What's happening right now, and the reality is most people that have managed money are probably losing. Correct. And how can you prevent that or how can you slow that down or just ease the pain a little bit? Maybe hedge your portfolio with some futures and Forex, but also generate some extra cash flow with those other markets. Explain some of the things you're helping people that are maybe planning to retire at one point or maybe are retired now to continue that revenue stream so that income or that retirement account doesn't go down to zero.
Sure. The best thing is to start preparing for it before you retire. If you're close to retirement, if you're even just in your 20s or 30s, at some point in time you're going to be retired. That's a fact of life. You can't get away from that. It's going to happen. So the sooner you prepare for it, the greater the compounding effect of every dollar can have for you. But maybe you're in retirement and you think, well, it's too late now. It's not too late. It's never too late.
Let me interrupt you there for a second. If you're 40 or 50, you're just at halftime. You have many, many years that you need to have something to live off of. Social Security is not going to do it.
Correct. Unfortunately, the majority of single people in this country, that is their primary source of income in retirement. For a lot of couples, that's the same thing. But what about learning how to generate income off of your retirement account so you don't have to draw down from them? When you retire, the ironic thing to me is that the most important thing that most of you have to rely on when you go into retirement is what is in your 401k or your 403b. Yet it's the one thing that most of you know very little about, and you're getting very little help, very little advice with it. One of the things that we always concentrate on with our students is to be able to generate income off of those accounts so you don't have to draw down from them. It's like having a paycheck, a retirement paycheck. Instead of just going from working to going into retirement and having the income from your job gone, there's no more cash coming in there. How do you replace that? Well, you use some of these leveraged assets. And the great thing, Josh, is you can do it with a small amount of money.
Correct.
A lot of people think, well, when I go in retirement, I don't want to use my retirement money to try to make money in the markets. And by the way, when we're talking about the market, we're really talking about markets. We're talking about not just the stock market.
Stock, options, futures, Forex.
Exactly. The stock market's the smallest of those. There's some great opportunities that you just haven't been exposed to in the futures, Forex, and the options market. But and you can use them to generate short-term income. I mentioned earlier that futures is a very good short-term trading vehicle. Forex, the same thing. Options of big variety there. You can use options for short-term income, kind of medium-term income, and then long-term income. And You can use options just to grow your accounts. You don't have to sell a stock to make money on it. You can use options to just collect premiums on it. You don't even have to own a stock to make money off of a stock. And that seems, kind of strange to people, but we explain that when you come into these classes. This is what we do in these classes. And I think right now, there's a sense of urgency out there that you should be feeling. You're going to do one of two things. You're either going to bury your head in the sand and just hope that things turn out okay, wish that they turn out okay, pray that they turn out okay. Those are three words: wish, hope, and pray, that should not be part of your investment portfolio. Or you can be proactive. You can take the steps now to take advantage of what's happening. This is an exciting time in the markets.
This is phenomenal.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a situation where you are panicking, where you're afraid of what's going on. Look at this as an opportunity, but what is the opportunity? Well, come in to get the right education to do that. We would love to have you come in and see how we approach these markets, how we teach our students to be able to take advantage of all directions. And in any market condition, there's a fact that moves the price of something. And that's what we teach you. We have a proprietary trading strategy that shows you how to identify what moves the price of something. And think about it. What do you want to do when you invest in something? Wouldn't you like to get into something as close to possible as when the price changes direction? Say when it stops going down and starts going up, which will be happening in these markets at some point here in the future. And then also, what stops it from going up? That would have been a key thing to know here recently. That's institutional buying and selling, and that's what we do. We identify on a price chart where the institutional buy orders are living and where the institutional sell orders are living. So you can get in on a trade actually before the institution makes the next move, and they provide a profit for you. They start driving the price up for you and providing a profit. Once that happens, then more and more people jump in, and you're already positioned to take advantage of that move.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. The big money is that's who's moving the markets. The Buffetts, the Goldman Sachs, the Wells Fargos. That's who's moving the market. And a lot of people think you have to beat the banks. Newsflash: no one's going to beat the banks unless you got billions and trillions of dollars. That's what it takes to move the market. So we can do that. I think I brought this up last week, that mouse investing. You're taking little pieces of the cheese as they're moving the market. They're not going to notice that we're in there with our $5,000 accounts, $10,000 accounts, 100,000, million, whatever your account size is. It doesn't even matter because you can use leverage. And one of the things you also mentioned, Al, is utilizing small amounts of your retirement balance with the futures market and the Forex market, not investing the whole thing, taking pieces of that to generate extra cash flow. And that's what it's all about. And if you're one of those people that want to take advantage of that, don't bury your head in the sand, as Al said. Be proactive rather than reactive. And it's not too late. There's still time to take advantage of these moves that we're seeing. We're seeing some phenomenal moves. Now is the time to do that. Al, what do you got coming up next?
Well, let's just talk about why what you rely on in retirement was never intended to be what you rely on.
That's a tongue twister there. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Don't forget to check out our website at retireyoungaudio.com.